Oh hey sup, it's Ralphbob.
Oh, hey, sup, guys. I wanted to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for a little while about Blizzard. Just kind of speculating, like, why they do certain things or what their philosophy or mindset is when it comes to current content in WoW. And I think it kind of started in Legion, but overall, the concept of basically drop it and leave it and see how it goes. And to me, a lot of what Blizzard does nowadays is they make content and then they drop it and then they see if it's any good, and then if it's not, they don't even expand on it. Even if it is good, they don't really expand on it any more than they have to before they have to move on to their next project. And it's basically like a roadmap type situation. Like, you're gonna make content, you're gonna put it out. It doesn't matter what the feedback is. I mean, they'll take the feedback and they'll apply it to their next expansion. And I feel like they started doing this in a couple earlier expansions, but it's very prominent in Legion. They put a lot of content out, like for example, the legendary artifact weapons. That was a really good concept to me. It worked really well, and they applied that to the Heart of Azeroth and BFA. But also, they just dropped a bunch of abilities. They dropped a really cool concept with class design. The class halls are just, they dropped it, left it, and they haven't reused it again. It just doesn't really make any sense to me to drop certain things that were doing really well, especially something like the class halls, and just leave them in the past. They're doing a lot of that with BFA. Like, I don't think Azerite armor is going to carry over. I don't think the Heart of Azeroth is going to carry over. Essence systems. They did keep World Quests and Mythic Plus, but I think overall that was kind of part of their core game system anyway. It's basically dailies and Mythic dungeons. It's nothing too crazy. There's a lot of systems too, like Horrific Visions or the Chromie thing. The Chromie like vision thing that you did in, I think it was Legion or Warlords, I'm not even really sure. They just drop these things and move on. It feels strange to me, but at the same time, if it makes better content in the future, then it's okay. But it's just weird because Legion was touted as a pretty good expansion overall, and then a lot of it got stripped down for BFA, and it felt like we got a stripped down version of Legion that wasn't even really, it just, another example, they tried to do something with island expeditions. They just dropped it and left it. They barely even touched island expeditions after that. It seemed like a good idea. I feel like island expeditions has a lot of cool things to it if it was actually working as intended. It doesn't seem to be working as intended. They don't really care to fix it. They just dropped it, left it. You just go farm it real quick for your weekly, and you're done. It's the same thing with the war fronts, where they dropped it, left it. I feel like they intended, like they were going to have 3 or 4 more war fronts in the game, but instead they just decided to make the 2 that they had a little bit more difficult. They don't really give you anything besides like a piece of gear that's pretty subpar at this point for most people who are like 450, 460. It's not really it's kind of fun, but at the same time I feel like they could have expanded on it and could have put some more reward to it to give it a little bit of a boost, but they just, like I said, just drop it, leave it, move on to the next project. I don't know if that's a good philosophy to have, but at the same time I know that they're probably on a time crunch and they can only do so much at a time, and BFA was kind of a lost cause at a certain point, and they probably just said, screw it, we're going to put all of our assets in Shadowlands, we're going to boost that, get a lot more sales from that, which makes sense. But at the same time, it's a little disappointing that they put all of these, because they advertise war fronts, island expeditions, and they're just not what they should be. Another thing that I don't really like in the current state of WoW is patch resets, basically. Before, it was kind of like you had to go through you have to go through these tiers of content through rating, and you got your rewards from that, and you progressed through the entire expansion as a whole. There were catch-up mechanics in Wrath, but you still had to go through and do most of the content, I would say. And ever since then, it feels like it's just patch, and even especially now, especially in Legion and in BFA, you get as high as you can in item level or gear, as strong as gear as you can possibly get. And then the patch comes and all that doesn't even matter. You wipe it. It's wiped basically, and you have to grind up for that next set of gear to try to get strong. And that is the core gameplay loop of this WoW, but it feels kind of shitty to have to take a whole couple months on a patch, push your character to the limits, and then do a patch reset and basically restart yourself. Not 100% at zero, but to the point where you're gonna be grinding again pretty hard. And I don't know what to do what the solution to that is. I'm pretty sure that's just going to be a permanent solution, but it feels like every piece of content, like raid season, is just drop it and leave it. Just drop it and then leave it, like leave it in the dust. It feels very awkward to play alts to me because like of those past tier, the past tier of raiding, the seasons, because you don't have to do that storyline anymore. They have skips for it. Like they programmed skips for their content. It makes me feel like it's not great content to begin with, or they just don't want you to go through the rigmarole and get back up to where you want to be in the current stuff. Like you don't have to do Mechagon or Najatar anymore in 8.3. You don't even have to touch it. None of that stuff is there. Like they dropped it and left it, and you don't have to deal with it anymore. It's very sad to see some of this content just left in the dust so fast, because I know they work on it pretty hard, but it goes so fast. It comes and goes so fast, and they don't return to, like, they have so many continents of content. Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, Pandaria, Outlands, all of these places that you can go, and they kind of return to those places every now and then, but like there's no real reason to go back otherwise. It's kind of sad to see that kind of drop it and leave it, but at the same time, I kind of get where they're coming from. I'm hoping that Shadowlands might change the design philosophy a little bit to the point where we have like we seek more like best in slot items for our character, and then that is the item that's going to be the thing for you, you know, and you can feel accomplished when you get it. I just figured that's been on my mind a little bit. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, or if you guys want to add anything to that down in the comments below. But that's it for me today. Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and come catch us at twitch.tv/Ralphbob. We stream over there live, play some WoW together. And that's that. See you guys. Peace.